All right. Good morning. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another live stream of Fast Break Bets presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, live every Wednesday and Friday at this time at 11 a.m., going through the entire NBA betting slate. As for today, a nice 10-game slate. I'm going to have at least one pick for each game. In terms of leans, one unit plays, all that stuff, I'm going to have 6 one-unit plays and 4 leans. No half unit plays today either. Is kind of the same thing as Wednesday. So we're going to be playing 6 units total. Unfortunately, the bad luck that we had last stream, that continued. I gave out, I had 7 picks. Zion ended up not playing. So 6 that actually played. And we essentially broke even on those 6 picks. I got 3 right. I got 3 wrong. But what really, really hurt is 2 of the 3 that I got wrong, we got hooked on. I had Dame over 25.5 points. He had ended with 25. I had Sabonis under 18.5 points. He ended with 19. If I'd literally gotten any of those 2 to cash, any one of them, not only would we have been green for the day, but that would have brought our profit from in the red back to the green on the entire season. That would have been very nice. Unfortunately, that was not the case. We can only track the results as they actually happened, not track whether we got bad luck or not. So with breaking even on Wednesday, that still leaves us slightly in the red on the entire year, down 1.06 units on the entire year from all these streams with an ROI of 0.39%. So not horrible, ROI of 0.39% is mostly breaking even, but we would love to be in the green, which I'm hoping we can get back in the green today. So that's just the kind of the recap that I like to do at the beginning of every stream. Make sure to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel if you're not already. Share the link with your friends. So when we go on this next heater, we're all on the ride together. And then get your questions, comments, concerns, anything in the chat. When you see me looking over at the screen, all I'm doing is monitoring the chat. So Greg, appreciate you being here. What's up? And then you can find me on social media at my handle you see on the screen here, Jedi Modai. And that's all we got for that. So let's get into today's slate. The first game that we're going to go ahead and talk about and lock in here is the Clippers versus Pistons game. And I'm taking James Harden over 20.5 points. This is best offered plus 110 odds at DraftKings. You can also kind of scroll through DraftKings as you see on the screen here. So Harden, I mostly have been backing his assists on the season. He's been on fire from an assist perspective, so that made sense. Today we're going with the points. So the Pistons are a matchup that we have targeted most of the year, specifically for point guards. And generally that's been working out for us. Across the board, the Pistons are a very, very plus matchup for someone like Harden to score a lot of points, and they're not a plus matchup for assists. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But in terms of the play itself, I am also pumping Harden up to 25 plus points as well. So the official play that we track, whether it won or lost, is the play that you see in the comments here, the Harden over 20.5 points. But I also like to give out leans and stuff like that. And I am taking him 25 plus. This is at plus 270 at DraftKings, just as a little honorable mention bonus play. So looking at Harden, the Pistons give up the most points per game to someone of James Harden's shooting profile, the second most points per game to someone of James Harden's scoring profile, and also the second most points per game to someone of his playmaking style. Those are all 3 different things. Shooting just measures where the player takes shots on the court, not whether they go in or not, just where they shoot. Scoring actually measures, okay, where do they score from? So if someone takes a ton of threes but doesn't make any, that's going to be reflected in the changes versus shooting and scoring. And then playmaking is what it sounds like. How does this person play make and rack up assists and stuff like that? All 3 are important to look at. All 3 show this as a very juicy matchup for James Harden. What's interesting, what's interesting is that the Pistons don't give up a lot of assists to someone like Harden. They allow the 6th fewest points per game to someone of his playmaking style, which is hence why we're riding with his points over assists. I'd see a lot of people in the comments seem to like this one as well. AI, Owl, Sports Picks, I'm not sure which one. Good choice on Harden. I appreciate it. Tyshawn Blandon, 29 at parlay. I don't hate that either. I'm obviously just going to stick with the points, but his assists have been awesome for sure. And then Greg likes Paul George rebounds. See, I looked at Paul George in this game. I ended up not going with him because he missed last game with a groin injury. In the previous 2 games, he's played limited minutes with a groin injury as well. So I didn't want to mess anything with Paul George. But back to this Harden play. This is somewhat of a fade of recent results, kind of, which is something that I generally like to do with my betting strategy is fade what recently has happened. So Harden missed this in 2 of his last 3 games. Granted, the game that he did cash was his most recent game in which he scored 25 points against the Wizards, another similarly juicy matchup for point guard points. And again, even if Paul George doesn't play, I still like the over for Harden because if Paul George plays, he's going to be on a minutes restriction. So first play, Harden, absolutely love it. Next up, Heat versus Wizards. And I'm taking Kyle Kuzma under 24.5 points. DraftKings, I locked this in at plus 105 odds at DraftKings. I believe the odds might have changed a little bit if that happened. I guess we'll have to see what the updated odds are. But what I locked it in at was a great price at DraftKings. Most sportsbooks either price this over-under at 23.5 or they heavily favored the under at 24.5. So DraftKings was giving us great value on this one. This is somewhat kind of similar to the James Harden one, somewhat of a fade of recent results. Kuzma has gone over this number in 3 of his last 4 games. But with that said, he had missed it in the 5 straight games prior to that. So he cashed it in 3 of his last 4. The 5 games prior to that, he had literally gone under in all 5. I think I might have misspoke. He literally gone under in all 5 prior to this 3 of 4 stretch. And it's not like he's been consistently going over this number either on the year. He's only hit the over in 19 of 47 games. So he's mostly been trending towards the under. He's just kind of slightly gone over recently. The reason why I like his under tonight is it's a tough matchup against the Miami Heat. He do a very good job guarding people like Kuzma. The Heat are giving up the 4th fewest points per game to someone of Kuzma's shooting profile and the fewest points per game to someone of his playmaking style. Kuzma went under the last time these 2 teams played. I like him to go under yet again in this one. And that is our second play. So before I get into the next one, I want to talk to you about the Betting Pros app, which I haven't mentioned how I use the app in my 2 picks yet. I have it. I will mention it as the day goes on. But first of all, you can find the app, bettingpros.com/apps. What I use it for, and what you will hear me talk about a bunch over the course of this stream and future streams, is the prop bet cheat sheet. You can find recommended picks based on what the current lines the sports books are offering, and then the Betting Pros projections. So basically kind of giving you the highest positive expected value plays based on Betting Pros projections, like what they view how likely a play is or isn't to hit, and then compare that to the over under and the odds that the sports books are offering. I lock in all of my picks that I can on the app, and you can tail me on the app as well. My profile should be in the description of this video, bettingpros.com/Modi. I haven't talked about it yet, but we will mention the premium offering. You can sign up for a free trial for the premium offering. All you got to do is download the app to get access to that. And then you can sync all your sports books through the Betting Pros app as well, which I find phenomenally helpful because you don't need to manually go in and track anything. You can just have the Betting Pros app do it for you. Greg says the app's great. If you don't have it, it's well worth it. I agree. Thank you for commenting on that so people can see an actual user's perspective, not just me saying it. All right, next up, our third pick of the slate. In the Suns versus Hawks game, I'm taking Trae Young over 25.5 points. Per the Betting Pros consensus, I was able to lock this in at minus 111. You can see on the screen here what DraftKings is currently offering it, because it is possible that by the time I update my notes and everything that the odds change. So it's always nice on the screen. DraftKings is giving you the most up-to-date odds. And this was a play that I found using the Betting Pros app. Betting Pros projects Trae Young to score 27 points. So it was a nice positive expected value play. I just went to the cheat sheet, looked at Trae Young points, saw that he was projected for 27. I already liked it. Outside of that, it just helped confirm my thoughts on it. Now, this is not at all a situation where we're fading recent results. I kind of was a little bit in the first 2, not at all with Trae Young. He has been pretty good. He's been awesome recently. So he returned from a concussion and has played 3 games. In those 3 games, he scored 30, 30, and 26 points, going over in all 3. And what I love, not necessarily the results, I just love how much he is shooting. 18 shot attempts 3 games ago, 24 2 games ago, 20 in his last game. And in a couple of those games, he's attempting a decent amount of 3-pointers as well. So it's pretty easy to do the math when you also consider how often he gets to the line. how he can get us to 26, 27, 28 points. The Suns generally aren't a matchup that we have traditionally targeted for point guard point props. They're certainly not a bad matchup for someone like Trae. They're definitely closer to a good one, but they're not among the best. They're giving up the 6th most points per game to someone of Trae's scoring profile. And 3 of the last 4 point guards against the Suns have gone over their point total over under as well. So when you put together how well he's been playing, you put together how much he's been shooting, and the fact that it is a pretty good matchup, all that screams Trae Young going over 25.5 points. Let's hope he does as our third play. Next up, Kings versus Pacers. And I see that Greg is also on that one. Nice. Kings Pacers, I'm taking De'Aaron Fox under 4.5 assists, plus 122 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. So this was 4.5. Might seem like a low number for De'Aaron Fox. You're probably thinking 4.5 assists for a high usage point guard, but you'd be surprised to hear that Fox doesn't consistently go over this number. He's hit this in 5 of his last 10 games, so exactly half, and he's hit it in 7 of his last 15. And when I say hit it, I mean hit the over. So he's gone over in 7 of his last 15. That's less than half. In 3 of the games in the last 10 where he went over, he had exactly 5 assists. So hovering right around this number. Granted, in 2 of the ones he went under, he had 4. So hitting it, he's been hovering around it basically 5 of the 10 games, going over in 3, under in 2. Regardless, the point I'm trying to make here is this is more of a toss-up than anything. So the fact that we're getting plus 122 odds for what I deem to be a toss-up is pretty good. And the real reason why I'm on this play is the matchup. It's an absolutely incredible matchup, which you would not expect against the Pacers. As bad as the Pacers are on defense, they're actually one of the worst matchups in the NBA when it comes to point guard assist props, even though they're essentially like the best matchup for every other possible position. For point guard assist props, they're not great, probably because point guards are too busy scoring. Either way, just check out these stats. So the Pacers are giving up literally the fewest assists per game to someone of Fox's playmaking style, the second fewest assists per game to someone of his scoring profile, and the third fewest to someone of his shooting profile. And then if you look at points instead of assists, it's a juicy matchup for all 3 of those. So yeah, all of the point guards against the Pacers score a lot. They don't assist a lot. And obviously the playmaking style is the most important there, but shooting, scoring profiles, all that stuff matters. Yesterday, the Pacers are on the second half of a back-to-back, but yesterday Jalen Brunson had an over-under of 7.5 assists. He ended the game with 1 assist. And I was on that. I put that out on the Betting Pros short. Granted, Brunson did score 40 points in that game, kind of going to points, not assists. And Fox could do the same. He could put up 40 points and 2 assists. Overall, 7 of the last 9 point guards against the Pacers have gone under their assist over-under. One of my favorite plays of the day with all that stuff taken into account. I absolutely love this one. That is our 4th play. And next up in the Raptors versus Rockets game, we're taking Fred VanVleet over 15.5 points. This is best offered at minus 120 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. This is another play that I did find using the Betting Pros app. Not quite a 5-star play, but still very good. Betting Pros projects VanVleet to score 18.4 points in this one, so pretty decently above the number that we need him to get over, which is over 15.5. And this is another situation, kind of like the Harden one, where I do like pumping him up. So you can get him at 20-plus points at plus 220 odds, which I think is a good play as well. But again, if you're going to do that, lower your unit size. And we only officially track whether he hits our official play or not, that you see again in the comments. But I do like this one. VanVleet has been hit or miss over his last 7-game stretch. He's gone over in 4 of his last 7. But in that same stretch, he had a stretch where he cashed it in 3 straight, then immediately followed that up by missing it in 3 straight. With the low light being he had 3 points against the Lakers, despite playing over 37 minutes. Luckily, after that Lakers game, he was able to follow that up by cashing the over against the Pelicans. Granted, in that game, he scored exactly 16, but if we can have a positive hook go our way for once, that would be great. So the reason why I like this play is partly because of the streaky nature that VanVleet is, and that kind of happens with point guards who shoot a high percentage shots from 3-point range. 3 points are streaky. Just a 40% 3-point shooter doesn't mean they're always shooting 4 of 10. They're going to have some 6 of 10 games and then some 1 of 10 games. So another reason why I like it is it's a great matchup against the Raptors. And I'm not talking about the revenge factor at all. I'm just talking about the fact that the Raptors defense has plummeted due to injuries and also the trade for trading away, I should say, OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam. Over the past 2 weeks, they're allowing the 6th most points per game to point guards. 5 of the last 6 point guards have hit their point total hit their point total over when you take into account their over-under. And 6 of the last 8 have gone over as well. I like to look at, for this team, the most recent sample size we can get, because what happened in October and November doesn't help when they had Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby. So it shows a pretty juicy matchup for VanVleet to go over, which is why it's our official play and which is why it's our pumped up play as well. Before we get into that, I want to talk to you about the Betting Pros Discord. But before that, I'm just going to take actually a quick sip of water so I don't have a frog in my throat. 1 second here. All right, so just had to update my notes for a second there. So the Betting Pros Discord, if you're looking to up your game up your sports betting game, I should say, look no further than the exclusive sports betting community at bettingpros.com/chat. In the Discord, Betting Pros has gathered a team of expert handicappers giving you free picks. And I think that last part is important. The fact that it is free for NFL. Now that we're on to the Super Bowl, you're going to want all that stuff for the Super Bowl, prop bets, game specials, anything you can imagine for the Super Bowl. And then we're talking NBA, college basketball, NHL. And then for those sports, player props, live betting, futures. Even they're doing some draft coverage. So if you want to bet the draft, or if you want to just learn about the draft from a dynasty and redraft perspective, that's also what you can get in the Discord. Get in on the action, connect with individuals such as yourselves who are sports betting enthusiasts. Elevate your betting strategy as well by getting insights from the pros. So join us in the Discord. Take your sports betting experience to the next level. Joseph is saying that Fred VanVleet's facing his former team, so he'll have an extra edge. That is true. I never really know how much to put in the revenge narrative. Like Dame, we had his over. And like I said, he hit 25, and that was a revenge game back in Portland. But if it gets him an extra 2 points, then we'll take that as a bonus. Next play that we're going to talk about is in the Warriors versus Grizzlies game. And this is a lean Warriors minus 7.5 per the best offered at minus 114 per the Betting Pros consensus. This line opened up at minus 6.5 and was quickly bet up. I'll give the Grizzlies credit. They've actually managed to play hard and play well, despite the fact that, their roster, I've never seen a team this decimated with injuries, aside from like the last week of the season when nobody plays. In games that the Grizzlies, at least the beginning of the year, were trying to win, their just entire team was hurt. If you want to laugh, look at their injury report, and I'll detail it here. So here are the players that are confirmed out for now and either going to be out for the entire season or at least the foreseeable future. Ja Morant, out for the year. Steven Adams, they traded. Brandon Clark, out for the year. Marcus Smart, Desmond Bane. All those guys are confirmed out. Now let's go to the list of guys that are healthy relatively, but questionable to play tonight specifically. Luke Kennard, Derrick Rose, Zaire Williams, Xavier Tillman. If you want to laugh even more, and no disrespect to anybody, these are just guys that the majority of NBA fans don't know. Here is their projected starting lineup. Scottie Pippen Jr., which great name, Scottie Pippen, but his son. John Conchar, Vince Williams, Santi Aldama, and Jaren Jackson Jr. Jaren Jackson Jr. is the only one of those guys that should be starting on the Grizzlies, and a bunch of guys that would either be in the G League, out of their rotation entirely, or fighting for minutes are literally starting for them. And like I said, props to the Grizzlies who have been playing well despite dealing with all that, which is it's very, very, very impressive. Excuse me. So, I love the Warriors in this one, even though the Warriors have not been great all year. But the skeleton crew of a lineup, even though they're at home, makes me want to lean the Warriors. But with all the injuries and with the questionables, there's really no way to actually handicap this game, which is why I'm leaving it as a lean. More likely, it's wait till the injury news and then make a decision from there. But because we don't have the benefit of doing that, we're just sticking it as a lean. Next up, Magic versus Timberwolves. Taking Karl-Anthony Towns under 23.5 points. Best offered at, or this is offered, minus 110 odds at DraftKings. Going to get another quick sip of water. I apologize. Okay. So Betting Pros projects Cat to score 21 points in this one. So another situation where I did use the app to find a nice positive expected value play. On the year, you'd be surprised to hear that Karl-Anthony Towns has only gone over this number in 19 of 47 games. So he has not been great on the year. I will admit he's been playing better recently, which is why this point total is at 23.5 as opposed to a normal 20.5, 21.5, which is more in line with where Betting Pros projects him to score as well. So Cat had that absurd 62-point game against the Hornets, juicy matchup. Then he followed that up with, and I was impressed by this, he followed that up with 2 straight 27-point games. I would have wanted to fade him after that 62-point outburst, but he still had 2 good games after that. Like I said, 27 points, 2 straight games after that. Granted, one was against the Wizards, which is another incredibly juicy matchup. Since then, he has only gone over this number in 1 of 3 games. Granted, he did do it in his last game against the Mavericks, another juicy matchup. What you are learning here is that Cat will go over in the juicy matchups while going under in the harder ones. Look at the teams he's gone over against in the past 10 days. Hornets, Wizards, Mavericks, Pistons, all those teams are teams that you would want to target him against, especially the Hornets in the Wizards. Now, I didn't expect him to put up 62 against the Hornets, but that was on paper a good matchup. And the matchup tonight is why we are fading him. It's a very, very tough matchup against the Magic. I kind of view the Karl-Anthony Towns play and the Kyle Kuzma play earlier as very similar. They both can, on the year, trend towards the under, but are playing better recently, but have tough matchups. The Magic, they just don't give up a lot of points to big guys. They just don't do it. Even big guys who can shoot like Karl-Anthony Towns struggle against the Magic. On the year, the Magic are giving up the fewest points per game to someone of Karl-Anthony Towns' shooting profile. And if you just look at his player profile across the board, shooting, scoring, playmaking, even if you look at stuff that I don't put too much emphasis in, height, weight, mass, the Magic are a great match, or a tough matchup, a great defense, however you kind of want to word it, against guys like Karl-Anthony Towns. And some players perform better at home, and I do take that into account. That is not the case with Cat. He's actually gone over this number only in 6 of 22 home games. I had to double check those stats to make sure I was right, but in 6 of 22 home games, he's only gone over. He's averaging 20.4 points per game at home if you take out the 62-point outlier, which is clearly an outlier. Laughing at a comment. So I love taking this under for Karl-Anthony Towns. Again, it's, as you can see on the comments, it is a 1-unit play that I locked in, over under 2.5 frogs in match throat. Today, I'm taking the over. Just a bad day for frogs in the throat, especially when you're on a stream and you have to talk through it. But all right, so we're 7 picks deep. We only have 3 left. Before I get into the final 3, I want to talk to you about something that I hinted at earlier, a 1-year premium subscription giveaway. If you want a chance to win a premium 1-year subscription to Betting Pros, it's a place where you can bet smart, not bet hard. And that's the most important thing you can do in the world, is work smart, not work hard. You need to be entered. All you need to do is subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel and comment. You do those 2 things and you will be entered. Hopefully you're already subscribed. If not, please click that subscribe button. In terms of announcing the winner, we're going to announce the winner right here on this channel. So make sure to turn notifications on so you can be alerted when new episodes drop, claim your prize and all that stuff. 1-year premium subscription giveaway, comment and subscribe. Unfortunately, the last 3 plays are all going to be leans, but I will say one of them is specific to injury news. So as soon as we have clarity, then that will be upgraded to either a play or not. But I'll get into that one. The next play that we're going to talk about, this is in the Hornets versus Thunder game. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over 32.5 points. Best offered at minus 115 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. The only reason why this is a lean is because The Hornets, their entire team is banged up, including LaMelo Ball and the guys they traded. And the Thunder are like 16-point favorites. So there's a chance that SGA might not even play the fourth quarter. Now, of course, he could hit this over in the first three quarters. But if you're playing limited minutes in a blowout, it's a little bit scary. But if you take out the blowout potential, everything about this matchup screams plus value, plus matchup, plus play for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. For starters, Jalen Williams, the starter. I know they have two Jalen Williamses. The one without the Y, the good one. He's confirmed out for the Thunder. And SGA, who already has an incredibly high usage rate, has his usage rate go up by 5.3% when Jalen Williams is not on the court. That's by far the highest usage rate increase on the Thunder for a player that already has the highest usage rate on the Thunder independent of that. His usage rate without J. Will is 38.52%. For the entire season, that would be the second highest in the NBA, only behind Joel Embiid, whose usage rate is 38.6. So it would be 0.08% lower than the highest usage rate in the entire NBA. Now, this next one is a little bit of a smaller sample size, but in two of the last three games that Williams has missed, SGA has cashed the over, scored 40 points against the Bulls, 31 against the Sixers. That's a game he went under, and then 34 against the Nuggets. So that part of it screams take the over for SGA. And then for the matchup, the Hornets are giving up the second most points per game to someone of SGA's shooting profile. And with all these injuries and trades, they've been especially bad recently. 3 straight point guards have hit their over point total against the Hornets, as well as 4 of the last 5 and 6 of the last 8. If this game even stays relatively close, then SGA, he could go off for 40, 50 points like we saw Maxey do last night. Again, the only reason why I'm not making this a full 1-unit play is just because I'm scared of the blowout potential. Maybe what we can do is like, if you could look at DraftKings, if they offer live point total props, if the game stays relatively close after the first quarter and you can get a decent price on SGA, maybe that would be time to live bet his over. But, they could be up by 20 points even at the end of the first quarter, and he doesn't really play that much. So that's the only concern here. We've all been there with blowouts before in the NBA. But if you just look at everything on paper, great matchup for SGA. Next up, in the Pelicans versus Spurs game, Devin Vassell under 21.5 points. DraftKings is giving this to you at -115 odds. So the reason why this is a lean and not a full 1-unit play, so the reason why I'm making it a play in general, let's start there. It's a really tough matchup for Devin Vassell. And we'll get into the matchup against the Pelicans, but they do a really good job limiting guards like Vassell from scoring. The reason why I'm leaving it as a lean as opposed to a full 1-unit play is because this would take some serious stones, I will admit, to lock in. This is the ultimate fade of recent results, probably the biggest Pepto play that I can have that I remember. This Devin Vassell under. He's been on fire recently. He's gone over in 6 of his last 7 games. He's gone over in 7 of his last 9. And the scary part is he's done it in tough matchups like this Pelicans one. He went over against the Thunder, against the Timberwolves, against the Magic, all really good defenses. So you're probably asking, okay, well, why is this even a play in general? Well, first of all, as I mentioned, it is a tough matchup against the Pelicans. And this is a very juicy fade of recent results. People are going to see how much Vassell has been smoking this over, and they're going to want to bet the over. But the books know what they're doing, pricing it at 20.5. On the year, even with this recent hot streak, Devin Vassell has only gone over this number in 20 of 43 games, so in less than half. And nothing dramatically really changed with the Spurs, right? They moved Trae Jones to starting point guard, and they stopped having Jeremy Sohan do it. That happened a while ago. And other than that, it's not like his minutes are consistently going up or anything like that. So I think that eventually this hot streak will come to an end and he'll be closer to where he was prior to it. But I will admit it is scary to bet the under on someone in this much of a heater, considering where we're getting the points at. But as I mentioned, this is a very tough matchup against the Pelicans, who do a good job limiting 2 guards. 2 straight shooting guards have admittedly gone over. Prior to these 2 straight, one of them was Jaylen Brown, the other one was Jalen Green on the Rockets. Prior to this 2 straight stretch, 3 straight prior to that had gone under, and 6 of the last 7 had gone under as well until this recent, again, hot streak. So like I said, it will take some cojones, but I really do like this under a lot. but I just couldn't quite put the full unit play on it because of how good he's been recently. But if you are a braver man than I think this is a really good, sharp play. Lastly, our 10th and final pick of the stream, Blazers versus Nuggets game. Jerami Grant under 19.5 points, best offered -105 odds at DraftKings. So I really, really do like this play. The only reason why it's a lean is because we don't have injury clarification on Nikola Jokic. My guess is that Jokic is going to play, but he's currently listed as questionable, and he missed last game against the Thunder. Very important matchup with the same injury. So he's actually hurt. This isn't like a situation where they're leaving him as questionable, might want to rest him. No, he's actually hurt. If Jokic plays, then I will upgrade this to a full 1-unit play. I just don't want to mess with anything until we have more clarity on Jokic. Once we have news, this will either officially be a lean or it will officially be a play. Either way, this is a very, very tough matchup for Jerami Grant against the Nuggets. The Nuggets just don't give up a lot of points to forwards like Jerami Grant. Literally the fewest points per game to someone of his shooting profile and the second fewest points per game to someone of his scoring profile. This is mostly because Aaron Gordon is a very good defender. But last game, when Jokic missed, they moved Aaron Gordon to the 5. The Nuggets went small, and instead they started Peyton Watson. I think they did that because the Thunder also go small. So in this game, they might end up starting DeAndre Jordan if Jokic misses. If that happens, then I would once again upgrade this to a full 1-unit play. We just need to see that type of information. Now, Grant missed this last game, but he cashed in the previous 3 or 4. So I do like this somewhat. You can convince yourself, you can talk yourself into this being a fade of recent results. So we'll have to wait and see. I would say follow along on the Betting Pros app to see as soon as the Jokic news comes out, how the odds change. And then also I would say follow me on social media. If you're not already, I'll have some sort of announcement once we get news on Jokic. It's the only reason why this is a lean is because of that. But that's how I got 10 bangers for you guys to lock in, 6 official plays, 4 leans. Tyshawn saying you can't take that SGA bet. Blowout potential is way too high. I get it. I totally get it. It's a fair point. What you could do is take an alternate point total and then the spread for the Thunder, something like that. But like I said, everything about that matchup just screams juicy play for SGA. But that's all we got. 10 bangers again for you guys to lock in. Make sure to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel if you are not already. Make sure to comment to get alerted or to get entered into the premium subscription giveaway. Follow me on all the social medias. Appreciate everybody for watching. Let's all win our bets tonight and have a good weekend.